أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Friday sermon of 2nd July 2021, 20 Dhul-Qaddah 1442 AH, delivered by Imam Jamaatul Sahih al-Islam Hazrat Khalifatullah Munir Azim Ayadullah Ta'ala bin Azizul Aziz of Mauritius. After greeting all his disciples and all Muslims around the world with the salam, the salutation of peace in Islam, the Khalifatullah Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Azizul Aziz read the Tashahud, the Taws, and the Surah Al-Fatiha, and then he focused his sermon on the subject of the plans of the enemies of Islam. We all bear witness to how Israel is bombing Palestine and receiving aid from the so-called superpowers. My heart bleeds in pain witnessing what Israel is doing with Palestine. And moreover, I note that all the Arab countries, the Middle East, are blind and deaf to all these atrocities. But let me tell you that the days of Israel, as well as its ally, the United States and others, which under cover are martyring the Palestinians, are numbered. Despite the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing the great signs of his anger, and especially with this virus which is called COVID-19, as well as earthquakes, floods, cyclones, etc., the economies of the countries of the world are on their knees. Nevertheless, they continue to be boastful and arrogant. They think of themselves as God on earth. Now an invisible little virus is driving them crazy. They are panicked, filled with fear, and they got into a situation where they don't know what to do. They can't do anything. In the world, all of humanity is in anguish, suffering fear with the pandemic of an invisible virus, COVID-19. And let me tell you that what will come very soon will be even more serious. Watch yourselves, your people, your country before meddling in the affairs of others, before bombing them and killing thousands of innocent people, for all your doings are crippling an entire country. The Iran-Iraq wars 1980 to 1988. You did the same for two Muslim brothers where you made them go to war for 8 years to sell your weapons and create hatred between these brothers. Here the Muslim Brotherhood being mentioned is Iran and Iraq, where they fought each other and so many innocent people died, and it affected, disabled an entire country. The economy of each country has suffered, and because large buildings were bombed. The 1991 Iraq War. We also do not forget the bad role the United States played in the 1991 Gulf War when it wanted to finish, weaken, and destroy Iraq. Thus, they made two other Muslim brothers become worse enemies. An agenda to destroy Palestine. Now, these troublemakers have an agenda to finish the people of Palestine and reduce them to beggars in their own land. I'm warning all those countries that are helping Israel to kill millions and millions of innocent people. A warning on divine vengeance. Don't worry, diamond will cut diamond. When Allah's vengeance comes, they will not be able to block it all. So I tell you, be careful, Allah's machinery is in motion. His anger will manifest itself much more compared to what you are going through witness today. The day when your books will be put in front of you and you will find them wide open and you will be told, read your book yourself for all the evil you used to do on earth, then your soul alone is enough to testify against you. When the good Lord decides to destroy all the evil in this temporal world, he first sends his warnings to those types of people who take themselves powerful on earth with their temporary powers. But unfortunately for them, they take these warnings in jest and they ridicule them, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Fadammar naha tadmira. We destroy them completely. Why does God destroy them completely? This is because innahum kanu kaumasa in fasikin. They were really bad people who had revolted against the law. And this is truly what we are witnessing so far and continue to witness a global war on the Muslims. When you do an analysis and study, you will see that the list of the neoconservatives regarding their enemies is long and includes all the Arab states. They, that is, the anti Islamic countries and rulers, are those who want to start a world war against Islam and become the only beneficiaries, and to protect Israel and annihilate Muslims. There is a continuing convergence of interest between the United States and Israel. The United States step in all the way, armed with its folly of grandeur and arrogance. Above all these, the United States must know all the truths before it gets involved in a series of wars, and where then it will lead to clash of civilizations, and that will certainly not be in its interest. Indeed, because of the policy it has made, the United States has strained relations with all the Arab countries and many of the former comrades, and they are losing the opportunity to make peace after more than 50 years of Cold War. The politics of war on terror. When we look at what happened on 11 September 2001, we can say that their time had come with this great uproar, but their plan was not new. It was a plan hatched since a long time. Their reactions were extremely rapid after these attacks. As a result, Bill William Bennett, former Secretary of Education of the United States, told CNN on 12 September 2001 that is, the United States had to attack Lebanon, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Iran, and China. He didn't mention Afghanistan. The same day, the Wall Street Journal gave us a list of their targets: terrorist camps in Syria, Sudan, Libya, Algeria, etc. And if one reads what Bob Woodward, an American journalist, wrote in his book Bush at War, he noted the fact that Afghanistan was not a target but that they immediately wanted to attack Iraq. On 20 September, 40 neoconservatives demanded that the President Bush attack the Hezbollah and the countries that supported them. Hezbollah had nothing to do with the 9/11 attacks, but the Hezbollah wanted to humiliate Israel because it had forced them out of Lebanon. These examples show that the neoconservatives used the attacks of September 11 to have the United States attack countries that did not harm them. These are just theories they imagine, because according to them, every 10 years they have to attack small states which according to them can cause them, that is United States and its allies, harm, great wrong, and also in order to show the world how they know how to deal with the affair problems of the world, the plans to remake the Middle East. But in truth, and in their hearts and in their plans, they have planned to overthrow the Iraqi, Iranian, Syrian, Lebanese, and Saudi Arabian regimes, and they wanted at all costs to destabilize the whole religion and impose their perception of the democracy in those countries. As I told you at the beginning, the list of neoconservatives regarding their enemies is very long and includes all the Arab states. They want to start a world war against Islam, and they want Israel to benefit from this whole situation, not the Arabs, the Muslims. They knew full well that Iraq was the tactical hub and Saudi Arabia was the strategic hub. So the neoconservatives wanted an American empire and Israeli domination over the Middle East. Their agendas, plans were therefore complementary. If we look at what happened in 1996, Richard Pell, Douglas Faith, and David Wurmser offered Benjamin Netanyahu a plan that was intended to fight Syria with the help from Jordan and Turkey. They wanted to pit Muslims against each other. This plan required the establishment of a Hashemite monarchy in Baghdad and the reoccupation of the Palestinian territories by Israel, followed by the transfer of populations. This is the plan of the enemies of Islam, and also to put pressure on and attack the Middle East, but not to put pressure on Israel, because for them, Israel is our ally and has the right to live in peace and security. Respond to aggression within law. Enough is enough. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a religion called Islam, a book that contains no doubts therein. and which is a guide for the pious muttaqi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, وَقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. Fight those who fight against you in the path of Allah, but do not exceed the limits, for Allah does not love those who exceed the limits. Awake and stand in solidarity with Palestine. These brothers, sisters, children who died in Palestine, they are our brothers, sisters, and children. The same blood that is shed in Palestine is our own blood. Iblis is using his weapons of mass distraction through television, the internet, etc., to put 1.2 billion Muslims to sleep. An unprecedented wave of solidarity across the world must rise in support of Palestinian people. All true Muslims must feel this pain because we are one body. Jamaatul Sahih al-Islam is launching the idea of fundraising to help Palestinian victims by learning about the situation of the oppressed Palestinians in the territories occupied by the Israel. Then the Jamaatul Sahih al-Islam cannot remain insensitive to this and has decided to launch a national fundraiser to help and alleviate the suffering of these men, women, and children who are prisoners in Gaza, largest open-era prison. Jamaatul Sahih al-Islam will focus on food packages, medicines, and basic necessities, inshallah. May Allah help us to accomplish this with His blessings and mercy so that these actions bear fruit. The needs of the Palestinians are pressing and urgent, but inshallah, we must acquire the required permits from the relevant authorities so that we can undertake this work. Inshallah, may we succeed in this work and inspire others also to do this work, because we cannot remain insensitive in the face of the disguised genocide. We must stand up against the crimes against humanity that are committed by the Zionists, those who are the supporters of Israel in its plan to take over Palestine and destroy the Islamic identity of Palestine. We believe that Palestinians have the right to defend their homes and have the right to live a normal life. Across the world, several humanitarian organizations are working to organize fundraisers to help Palestinians rebuild their lives after the attacks of Israel. The Jamaatul Sahih al-Islam hopes that the authorities will be compassionate towards this cause so that this fundraising can begin, inshallah. We cannot at this time stop the massacre that Israel is carrying out in Palestine, because among ourselves, the Muslims, we are not united. If we were united, then this union will be our strength, and by the grace of Allah, we have a greater weapon than those which these troublemakers, Zalimeen, possess. It is our supplication to our Creator, the Almighty, and we must have this mercy in our hearts and do our best to help our brothers, sisters, and children who have been suffering for years and years, where their innocent blood has been shed. Oh, my brothers and sisters, look. Day after day, the list of victims grows. Will we stand idly by and watch our brothers and sisters be killed like this? If Tawheed, that is the unicity of Allah, is truly flowing through our veins and bloods, then we must stand together and pray, invoke Allah for our brothers and sisters in Palestine and contribute to improve their lives, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring the enemies of Islam and of Muslims to their destruction in this temporal world, and indeed their punishments in the hereafter will be even more severe, inshallah. Ameen.